Hey guys, I'm Cameron Haynes, and I'm honored to be here on behalf of Donald Trump and his reelection campaign. Um, I'll just tell you right now, as far as who's coming up here and speaking, it's like there's me and then there's them. They're like rock stars. Donald Trump Jr., of course, who he is, and then I'm a bow hunter. Thank you. Yes. Oh, got it. Yeah, love it. Um, and I'm actually using vacation time from work to be here because it's that important to me. Thank you. I'm I'm here. I got a regular 9 to 5. I'm a superintendent of the water company back in Oregon, and so I'm in charge of construction and engineering. But to me, this means so much to talk to you guys. Like I said, it's an honor. The one thing I like about Donald Trump, like in 2016, he said, and this is how I determine he's not like a real politician, because what he said he was going to do in 2016, he's actually done. Yep. He said he was going to shore up our borders. He said he was going to tighten up the trade deficits we're undergoing with China especially. And he said he was going to fight for the American people. And he's done all that. So as I said, I have a job. I'm in charge of guys back home. I know how they feel, and so I feel like it's my duty to be here, fight for them, represent them. They're big Trump supporters. And it's, another thing that I wanted to be here and take time of the time I have. I have a hat right now, and it has a blue stripe through the American flag. The law enforcement officers, I think, deserve so much honor and respect for what they do for our communities. I can't tell you how much it means to me. It kills me when I see they get scrutinized the way they do. I like a president like Trump who lifts them up, supports them, respects them. On the other side, you got Biden thinking he knows how to, I think, suggesting shooting people in the legs. So anyway, I'm here. I want to celebrate law enforcement. I also want to celebrate military. My son is active duty in the military right now. And I like having a president that supports our military, that's made our military the greatest in the world, and also funds it like it should be, not handcuffing those guys like has been done with previous administrations. So I just think we're going in the right direction. I think, as he said, he was going to make America great. He did. The whole COVID thing came in. We're going to beat that, and we're going to be great again under his leadership. We have to reelect him to make that happen, though. So I'm going to bring up Ted Nugent, and I'll just tell you, we've been traveling. We did one stop already in York Springs, and then we came here. And in the midst of the travel, basically, me, Ted, and Trump Jr. are talking hunting. I mean, it's just sharing hunting stories. It's about as chill and fun as you can imagine. And one story that I reminded Ted of was it's an honor to be here around legends like Ted Nugent and Donald Trump Jr. But the first time I met Ted, he was playing with the damn Yankees back in early 90s. And I had just started bow hunting. And we're like crazy kids. We're like, hey, Ted Nugent, he's a bow hunter. Let's see if he wants to go bow hunting with us. And true to form, he's crazy now, he's crazy then, and he loves to bow hunt. And he's like, yeah, I'll go bow hunting with you guys. So we went down to Southern Oregon. We killed some goats, feral goats that they're just wild down there, and the ranchers want them killed. So we killed some goats. I had this beat-up Toyota two-wheel drive pickup. We piled them all in the back of my Toyota two-wheel drive pickup, and I had like a truck full of dead goats. And so we go up. He was playing with the damn Yankees in Eugene, Oregon, staying at the Hilton there. And we go there and we pull up like for valet parking, and we get out because he had just wrote a book called Blood Trails, and he's like, hey, you guys come up to my hotel room before the concert and check out my book. And so we pull up there for parking, and I told the valet guy, I said, you probably aren't going to want to go park that truck. He's like, oh, no, it's fine. I'll go. I said, well, it's that truck right there. And it had all these dead goats in it. And he's like, I think I'm just going to leave it there. So my truck sat in the front of the Hilton while we were up hanging out with a bunch of dead animals in it. So that was my first introduction to Ted Nugent. Been friends this whole time. He fights for us. He fights for the Second Amendment. He fights for our president. And again, it's an honor to introduce him here to you guys. I know you're going to enjoy what he does here.
It's all right. I have a guitar and a permit for it. God bless you all. This must be real Pennsylvania. This must be the Pennsylvania shit kickers in the asset column of America. God bless you all. Well, they invited me to come here today because they needed the soundtrack for freedom, life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness, and I just happened to have perfected it when I was a small child in Detroit. It's so good to be here. Thank you for supporting my rock and roll for the last 50 years, and thank you for standing strong for God, family, country, Constitution, Bill of Rights, and law and order. I have a feeling that we all stand together on that. Am I right? So we're in Altoona, Pennsylvania. You know, I learned to kill groundhogs by shooting them in the eyeballs with my dad over in Freiburg. Are we far from Freiburg? Anybody in Freiburg? Come on, Oil City. I used to hang out there. Plus, I've played dangerous rhythm and blues and rock and roll in every city in Pennsylvania for the last 60 years. So God bless you all. Now, if you'll bear with me while I get my technical details organized. Just got out of a deer stand for you people. Say thank you. Say thank you, Uncle Ted. Now, somebody said, you know, if Ted Nugent's on the road with Don Jr., there's going to be a deer that lives today. I'll kill him tomorrow. Okay. I'm with you, brother. All right, so we go like this, and we go like that. I know how to work this contraption. You feel that, don't you? I believe every note, every lyric, every word, every sentiment. My name is Ted Nugent. I'm 72 years clean and sober. No drugs, no alcohol, no tobacco, no left-wing Marxist bullshit. I'm a free man, and I know that God gave me my individual rights. And the founding fathers were smart enough, coming out from beneath the stranglehold of the king. Stranglehold of the king. Boy, that'd be a great song title. And they wrote down these self-evident truths, and we're the only society in the history of mankind that experiments in self-government. I choose my path. I choose my love. I choose my liberty. I choose my decisions in life. No man can tell me where I can go, if I can be armed, what I can say, what church I go to. Is there a man in here that can tell me what church I need to go to? Is there a man out there who wants to come up here and tell me? Is there a man out there that can tell me what state I can keep and bear arms in? Can you tell me what area of America I don't have a First Amendment right? I have a First Amendment right on planet Earth. I have a Second Amendment right on planet Earth. I have the right to defend my life and my family. I have the duty to defend my life and my family. If you don't stand up and you don't get all your buddies at deer camp, if you don't get everybody at the bowling alley and at the barbecue, if you don't get your buddies at work and school and church to vote for Donald Trump, Antifa would like to thank you. And they will burn down your city when you elect Joe Biden and give them the green light to the atrocities and indecency of the Joe Biden Democrat Marxist regime. Any questions? Didn't think so. You see, I'm just a guitar player. Never went to college, too busy learning stuff. And I learned that freedom is a self-evident truth. And thank God Almighty, by the hand of God, the founding fathers wrote them down. And in 2020, like in 2016, I kid you not, by the hand of God, Donald Trump came and brought a crowbar to the status quo. He's not presidential because the presidential activities of the past were spineless cowards who trampled on our independence and our freedoms and compromised our Second Amendment. Let me reiterate. Who can tell me there is a state I don't have a First Amendment in? Anybody want to try to tell me that? Anybody out there want to try to tell me I have to have government-issued paperwork for my First Amendment? Anybody want to tell me that? Come on up here. Let's move on to the Second Amendment, shall we? My name is Ted Nugent, and I decree your Second Amendment is just like your First Amendment. It's good in all 50 states without government-issued paperwork. And until we get that back, we don't really have a Second Amendment. Any questions? So we're in the process scrambling for damage control because the runaway rampant criminal corruption and abuse of power by those who were presidential. You know, Mitt Romney brought a doily to a gunfight. What a bunch of weasels. I think President Trump is the ultimate weasel hunter. That's what I think. Hunt them weasels. Make jackets out of them. So thank you for being here. I so dearly appreciate your activism because you're experimenting in self-government by being here because these are critical times. Law and order is controversial to idiots. God, family, country, freedom is controversial to Marxists. You're showing your American spirit by being here on this nasty, beautiful October 30th, deer hunting day. I will give up many days of deer hunting, which I cherish, for the future of deer hunting, for the future of America. My grandkids are going deer hunting with me again this year. Boy, they shoot good. I give them a machine gun every time one is born. I'm the greatest grandpa in the world. I'm serious. Okay. So this is nice. This is a good crowd. But I know each of you know lots of people who have inflicted themselves with apathy, and they're not engaged in this sacred experiment in self-government. Talk to them in the next couple days. There's time. Call them no matter what state they live in. Tell them it's not a choice between Republicans who we prefer and Democrats that we're not sure of. That's all. That's over. Now it's between freedom and Marxism. It's insane. Why aren't those people in jail? Lock them up. Or bring them to my deer camp. I can fix them. I'm just a guitar player, but I can fix dirt bags. So call your families and friends and coworkers. Educate them to the imperative of participating in this blood and guts, life and death experiment in self-government. I have saluted hundreds and hundreds of flag-draped coffins. Heroes of the United States military and law enforcement who fought for that oath to the Constitution, and they gave their lives. I'm going to tell you right here and now, I have no opinion on the matter. I'll tell you the fact. We owe them a constitutional vote for their sacrifice. We owe them. Freedom is not free. Just get everybody you know to pay them back. Pay them back with a vote for the Constitution, and we know that's Donald Trump. It sure as hell ain't Joe Biden. Holy smokes, what species is that? It's planet of the cuckoo's nest. It's rotten, horrible, horrible, criminal, corrupt, scamming, Constitution trampling monsters. Well, that's hyperbole and accurate. Every word I'm saying, you know the evidence is irrefutable. So God bless you for being here, but become a commando for freedom for Donald Trump and get everybody you know to get out there and vote. Vote for freedom over Antifa. Vote for safe streets versus Portland. I mean, Philadelphia, they burned down because the cops shot a bastard in self-defense? So we burned down, were you home of the Liberty Bell? Pennsylvania? What happened? It's almost as embarrassing as Michigan. I could go on, but actually I got a great friend here tonight. So I'm going to introduce a guy, boy, oh boy, talking about balls. These guys, these are the Concord Bridge frontliners. This is our Concord Bridge. And I've gotten to know the Trump family. You know, I consider myself a working hard, playing hard shit kicker. I'm in the asset column. I work hard. All my sons and daughters and grandkids, everybody in my family, my band, my crew, everybody works hard or they're fired. And none of them are fired because they like to work hard. They like sweat. They like calluses. They like fatigue. We like fatigue. It's a good sign you kicked ass. And the Trump family, they ain't shown any signs of fatigue yet. How about that president? What? I'm glad he's not a guitar player. So I'd like to introduce my new hero, my number 2 hero. My number 1 hero was Donald Trump, President Donald Trump. This guy is something else. You need to reelect that. You need to reelect that guy. But my other hero is Don Jr., and he's here tonight. And he always makes his entrance to the greatest guitar lick in the world, which I happen to have authored because I'm the only guitar player that creates music with fresh backstrap blood and guts in my fingernails. I'm your backstrap daddy, and I invented this song. I didn't know it at the time, but I think I invented this song for Donald Trump Jr.
Well done, buddy. Now that's an opening. Wow. Thank you so much, Ted. You're the man. You know, guys, I'm going to get it's going to be hard to do regular political speeches without Ted Nugent introducing you like that, right? I mean, that's pretty legit. Thank you so much, Ted, Cam. Great job. Thank you so much. And thank you, Altoona. You know, guys, as I walk around Pennsylvania and I go around the state and all of these other states, I don't think we're like 19 points behind like they're saying. I just don't see it. I mean, we got the middle of a day, we got a packed house here. People fighting for their country, understanding that they can elect a president that's been fighting for them for a change. Someone who's going to take on the establishment, fight for your rights, not just to make his son rich. Now, think about it, right? You know, hate to say this, but Donald Trump's the first guy to go into the presidency that's going to come out with less money than he went in. And he knew that. He knew that was coming. I mean, he knew what would happen the second you put that little R next to your name and you say, I'm a Republican and I'm going to fight for those values. And I always tell the story. I usually finish with it, but I tell the story about when my father first announced. You know, about 5 minutes before, I wasn't sure. I figured it was 50-50. You know, I was like, he's not really going to do this, is he? Then we're down in this elevator going together as a family. I'm like, oh my God, like this is real. He's going to do it. He was sick of failed politicians for decades making promises they could never possibly keep. They didn't have the ability, the skill set, the desire, the will, the fight to do it. So he said, you know what? I've been throwing stones. It's time to man up and get in the game. I can still say man up in this part of Pennsylvania, right? I don't have to. All right. I want to make sure because I don't want to get canceled for not including the other 9,432 genders. I've been speaking for about a minute, so it could be 9,439 genders by now. They've come up with a few others, but you know, as we're going down that elevator, he said something. I just sort of remember it, like just kind of hitting me hard. I just always remembered it. And he looked me in the eyes and he said, and now we find out who our real friends are. And that was just, it was so telling, right? He knew exactly what was going to happen. All these Hollywood people and all the people from The Celebrity Apprentice and everyone for years. Most of them that kissed his ass for years. Second that little R went there, they'd be gone. All the rappers, although a bunch of the rappers seem to be coming back. They're actually, right? That's sort of amazing. So, rightfully so, given his results and what he's done for the African American community with prison reform and the First Step Back, and for the Hispanic community with the same policies, and really everyone. Righting the wrongs of Joe Biden's ridiculous crime bill that put people in jail for 30 years for smoking weed, destroyed not just their lives, but the lives of perhaps their kids. A lot of kids grew up, single family, single parent households because of those ridiculous laws, so Donald Trump fixed them too. But he knew, the second you come out as a conservative, it's over. You're out. But more importantly, he acknowledged this before he ever did it. It wasn't like he figured it out afterwards. He knew what was going to happen, and he did it anyway. And that's the kind of leader we want, someone who's willing to make the tough decisions. Someone who's not going to be bullied by the establishment, by the special interests, by the big money that's bought everyone else off in D.C., right? It's why we've gotten so many results. It's why we're getting out of the endless wars, right? Because Donald Trump said, hey, why are we here? I've been in the room, guys, as he's asked these generals, why are we in Afghanistan 20 years later? It's a good question. I mean, you think if you're a general, you should probably know the answer to that. There is no end game. The end game is they get a board seat at Raytheon when they retire. That's the end game, right? That's a 7-figure, high-paying job. But you don't get that job if you don't sell and use a lot of missiles. If you don't keep us in these wars, rack up trillions of dollars in debt. Go build a couple roads in Afghanistan that will be blown up in about 5 minutes. I'd rather build them in Pennsylvania, and so would Donald Trump. But you saw what happened with that, right? So he announces these things we're going to pull out. The next day, there's a hit piece. Donald Trump hates the military. Well, why is that? We have anonymous sources. I mean, we've been hearing about anonymous sources for years, right? They had anonymous sources for the Russia hoax, which they pushed for 4 years. They have anonymous sources, that said I committed treason. Big if true. But now they have actual sources. Actual people. Naval intelligence officers who are in the room, who are willing to go on the record against Joe Biden and Hunter Biden for years of corruption. That's one of many, right? There's the China money. That's China too, but different China money. There's the $1.5 billion in investment. We've seen the pictures. You guys think that the Chinese government gave Hunter Biden $1.5 billion because he's a great investor? You think that their spy chief hired Hunter Biden as a lawyer because of his legal prowess? I don't think so. They were doing it so that they had access, so they could get compromising information on a guy and use it against Joe Biden if he ever got power. Think about it this. The Democrats, with the full help of the media, impeached Donald Trump for being right about Joe Biden. They impeached Donald Trump for calling out the corruption and wanting to do something about it. That's what happened. I mean, millions of dollars. What do you think would happen, guys? You think Hunter gets $1.5 billion from the Chinese government? What do you think would happen if Donald Trump Jr. took $1.5 from the Chinese government? Not billion. Don't even worry about the billion. Just get rid of about a dozen zeros. $1.5. I'd be in jail. I'd be in jail. I'd be calling Ted. I'd be like, Ted, put me on speakerphone. Okay, it would not be playing Despacito, okay? That's pandering. I'd be feeding quarters into a cell phone at Rikers, doing my best to not drop the soap. It's true. We're going to call balls and strikes, ma'am. I'm sorry. That's a good belly laugh. I like that, Hey, if this politics thing doesn't work out, maybe I got to take this thing on the road. But I'd be in jail, and that's one, right? 1.5 billion from China, 3.5 million from a Putin associate. Hey guys, you've been looking for Russia collusion for 4 years. How about that? Joe Biden he goes to the debate. He said, it's been debunked. It's like, no, it hasn't. I'll show you the wire transfer. It's at the U.S. Treasury. It's in a Senate report. It hasn't been debunked, but because Joe Biden says it's debunked, the media says, wonderful, it's been debunked. Right? Of course it's fake news. Right? But that's the thing, the fake news who cries like a child every time Donald Trump correctly called them fake news, because he said the Russia hoax is just that. It's a hoax. It's fake news. They cried every time he did that. Now, they're censoring their own peers, the few that are brave enough to actually talk about the crimes that the Biden family has committed. Imagine they took 1 minute, a couple of minutes to do enough diligence. Just look, guess what? During quarantine, this is months ago, I wrote a 365-page book about the Biden family because there's enough information available there. I'm not a reporter. I'm not a journalist. I did it because no one else would even look. And had the media and the Democrats even bothered to look for 2 seconds at the people they were fielding, rather than attacking Trump with lies for 4 years, they wouldn't be fielding the most compromised candidate in the history of the United States presidency. Now think about it, right? You got Russia, you got China, you got Ukraine, Kazakhstan, all these people that had Hunter on the payroll. Why isn't there like, I don't know, Spain or France or a country that isn't like the top 5 most corrupt regimes in the entire world? Why are they not on that list? Because we know why. Because they knew they could buy them. And now the media is doing whatever they can to make sure you never hear that story before Election Day. There's an ongoing investigation from the FBI. It was started in 2019. Money laundering by the Bidens. Think about that. So while Congress is impeaching Donald Trump for being right about Joe Biden, they knew he was right. They knew it was a lie, and they allowed it to happen. And then they allowed him to become the Democrat nominee for president of the United States. Think of how insane this is. You think if the names were reversed, Hunter and Don Jr., we just flipped roles, you think that would have leaked in about 2 seconds? You think the Republicans would have stepped in and said, you can't be president, you must step down? Or Donald Trump, you can't run, you must get out of this, right? Yeah, in a second. And they'd be right. But our mainstream media, in cahoots with YouTube, Facebook, Google, big tech and social media combined, are doing whatever they can to suppress the message. I mean, think about it. When it first came out, Facebook said, we won't link to the article. Twitter, we're not going to link to the article. We're going to shadow ban it. We're going to pretend it doesn't exist. It's like, okay, well, did it go through your fact-checking process? No. I mean, their fact-checking process is a little bit ridiculous. They called the thin blue line flag to support our great law enforcement officers today in the paper. That PolitiFact said that it was an anti-BLM flag. Because you can't believe, I guess, that Black Lives Matter, which no one in America disagrees with. We don't love the Marxist organization and their politics, but everyone agrees with the statement about 1,000,000,000%. You know who agrees with that most? Law enforcement officers that need that trust in that community that BLM, the organization, is doing whatever they possibly can to undermine. So these guys, they put PolitiFact. It is an anti-BLM flag instead of a line in an American flag that shows solidarity with our incredible men and women of law enforcement. I mean, that's how sick they're. That's their fact check process. So did Facebook, did they run it through their leftist fact check process? No. More importantly, did anyone in the Biden camp deny it? No. You know why? Because it happened. Because it's true and they know it. If it didn't happen, it would have taken about 2 seconds to put out an official statement. Didn't happen. But that's not what happened. Remember? The question, one person was brave enough to ask. The rest of his peers in the media tried killing him for it. But he asked, took them 3 days to get back an answer. But the answer wasn't an answer to the question that was asked. It was just the answer they wanted to give, which is, well, the meeting wasn't in his official calendar. Oh, that solves it. That's it. Wonderful. Move along. Nothing to see here, folks. Think of how insane that is. It wasn't, even Joe Biden's not dumb enough to meet with corrupt official, paying H10 for a hunter, and holding another 10 million for the big guy. You think that they'd think that if it was D holding 10 for the big guy in my emails and there's only one D on the email, do you think that they'd give me the benefit of the doubt? Yeah, no. No, they wouldn't. You think they'd look for corroborating evidence? No, they didn't. I know, because I did 30 hours of testimony before the House and Senate where they're hoping I could make one little mistake that they could throw me in jail. It wasn't about what they accused me of. It was that if you ask someone the same question for 30 hours in multiple different committees over a few months, maybe you'll change the answer a little bit, and then we got you. I wouldn't get the benefit of the Brennans and the McCabe's and those guys that lied before Congress. They didn't even get punished. They got CNN contributorships. They got paid big money to lie. The ones that didn't lie under oath didn't stop them from going on TV and literally contradicting their witness testimony on TV for 3 years to try to hurt Donald Trump. If big tech can do that, they could stop a news story like this. This makes Watergate seem like kindergarten. I mean, when you think about it, this corruption makes Watergate look like kindergarten. And that's this one today. But what about the Russia hoax, where you had the Obama-Biden administration working with the FBI and the CIA and Russian spies that they knew were Russian assets? Everyone tries to blend these things into one. This is not one thing. These are multiple corrupt, broken bureaucratic initiatives to hurt the duly elected president of the United States. So guys, we know the Second Amendment, that's always on the table for the Democrats. They're going to keep fighting until they get rid of that. But if you've been watching in the last 10 days, you realize the First Amendment is on the table. They're all on the table, because if they can stop freedom of the press, if they can stop our ability to use our voice, and that goes unchecked, well, where's it stop? This sounds more like communist China than it does the United States of America, and they're doing it willfully with a smile on their face. That's what makes Donald Trump's accomplishments all the more, right? He got the things that he got done with no help from the Democrats, no help from the media, nothing but lies, nothing but attacks. And guess what? He went into that office every day and fought for us. It was funny, even when he got corona, right? I called him the next morning. I found out about it like midnight. I called, hey, just checking in. How are you doing? I'm fine. I'm busy. I'll call you later. Like, what? He's like, I'm making calls. I got to get, I'm trying to negotiate the stimulus stuff, trying to get Nancy Pelosi to stop trying to force releasing violent offenders and giving stimulus to illegals in there so I can get money back into the wallets of American taxpayers, whose money it actually is. So that's typical Trump. I was trying to be the good son, and he just wanted to get me the hell off the phone so he could get back to work. But that's what you elected. You elected a fighter. You elected a worker. Joe Biden called a lid with a week left. Finally, someone's like, you got to get out of the basement, Joe. You can't do this. I know people running for first grade class president that have spent more time campaigning than Joe Biden has for the presidency of the United States. That's a fact. But you know what? When you have a mainstream media complex that will campaign for you while you hide in basement, while you have social media covering for you to all ends, suppressing your guy's voice, your ability to get a message out, he doesn't even feel the need to have to. He feels entitled. It's his turn, just like it was Hillary's turn. That's why we need you guys in this game. All right? We need you in this game fighting for a president that delivered. Fighting for a president that made promises and kept them. Think about that. This is the anomaly. It's unusual. That a politician actually did all the things he said he was going to do. And then some. I mean, think of how insane that is. He did that, and the media and everyone literally tried destroying him for doing all the things he was elected to do. Well, that's what they accuse. That's the Democrat playbook, right? They accuse you of doing all the stuff that they were doing. That's Biden to a T, right? Again, what did Nancy Pelosi impeach Donald Trump for? For being right about Joe Biden and the corruption. But rather than look into Joe Biden, they can't do that. He's been their buddy for 47 years. The Republicans are guilty of that too, by the way. Well, he's my friend. I'm not going to do anything. That's the problem with Washington. That's why we don't get anything done. That's why when Donald Trump said he's going to build the strongest economy we've ever seen, when Donald Trump said he was going to build the strongest economy we've ever seen, Obama went out there, well, Donald, there's no magic wand for that. Well, there is, folks. Abracadabra. It's hard work, it's experience, it's knowledge, it's having done it. You know, sign the front of a paycheck, not just the back. That's why he could grow that. Okay, you guys got to remember, because we're in the heart of Pennsylvania right now, and I understand that this is a blue dog Democrat stronghold. I get it. No. I love those guys. They're now Trump voters, but you got to make sure the ones that are stuck on that history, the ones that still think about the Democrat Party of old, right? The one that used to represent hardworking men and women, that used to care about those issues, that cared about American jobs. That party's gone. This isn't your grandparents' Democrat Party. It's not even your parents' Democrat Party. Hell, it's not the Democrat Party of 10 years ago. It's a socialist Marxist party now. So you guys got to remember that when you vote. You got to remember that Joe Biden is the guy that pushed for NAFTA and TPP and China's permanent status in the World Trade Organization. And what did that do? That took your jobs and your American dream and sent them to China. Joe Biden's son today owns 10% of a Chinese company that's taking American manufacturing jobs out of Michigan and sending them to China. But he's going to fix it for the blue-collar guy in America. BS. But they do that every day, right? It's blue-collar Joe. Don't worry, blue-collar. There's nothing blue-collar about him. He's been a senator since his 20s. He left Scranton, which he talks about all the time, when he was 9. I have lived in Pennsylvania longer than Joe Biden. I did. I went to boarding school. I went 8th grade through college, and I have a farm in the Northeast that I spend all my weekends at. I have. Just like I, the son of a billionaire from Manhattan, have had more blue-collar jobs than blue-collar Joe. Right? Because if we were going to build a building and we were actually business people, prior to getting in politics, unlike the Bidens, who only became business people when they could leverage their taxpayer-funded offices, my dad's theory was, hey, if you're going to build a building one day, you better damn well know how to dig the foundation. So he made sure we did those jobs, that we worked that way. It's that mentality that's pervasive. Guess what, guys? If Joe Biden could have fixed it, he would have done it in the first 47 years. You don't give someone a promotion who's campaigning on big government having failed you when he's been a big part of big government for half a century. That doesn't work. Instead, you got Donald Trump, who built the strongest economy we've ever known, who created the lowest levels of unemployment for everyone, the highest number of new startup businesses for women, for African Americans, for Hispanics, for everyone. The guy that did that once against all odds and with all incoming fire channeled at him is the guy that can do it again. The guy that got a trade deal done with Mexico that took our jobs because Joe Biden supported it is the guy I want negotiating for us. The guy that did the same with China is the guy I want negotiating for us. Not the guy that's compromised, bought, and paid for by China. So you guys have a choice to make. You can sit back and allow big tech to cover this, or you can get on your phones, call your friends, knock on doors for the next 5 days, and make sure that every single American you know gets out there and votes. Vote for your freedoms. Vote for your liberties. Vote for your Constitution. Vote for your children. And vote so we can make America great again. Thank you, guys. Get out there and do it. Remember, This is not your grandparents' Democrat Party, but Donald Trump cannot do it without your help. So get out there, let's do this, and let's make liberals cry again. Thank you, Altoona. Thank you, guys.